yeah, I would recommend that if somebody is starting, like, start with episode 5.
Really?
Because it'll like blow your dick off immediately.
Face Off Inside the NHL is available to watch tomorrow on Amazon. Let's bring in the showrunner and executive producer, Daniel Amagon. Hi, Daniel.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. First time, long time. So thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, we've crossed paths a few times. Obviously, Pete did a great job doing the stuff for the show, one of the talking heads. Fantastic. You made him look lovely. He made himself sound lovely. I guess I'm like the only fan here and just pure observer. Thought it was really, really good. Thought there was something kind of for everyone. A dork like me wants to see Oilers stuff, behind the scenes, guys yelling at each other. Got all that. But also, I think the average casual sports fan is going to just fall in love with the characters. What was your goal when you were putting this all together?
That's a great question. I think, to me, and let me first say, I'm such a fan of what you guys do as well. And honestly, your show is such a valuable resource as we put this show together. It feels to me like hockey is kind of having a moment where a new generation of voices and kind of a different generation of folks are lending their voices to the discussion about hockey. We're learning about these players on such a more personal level, and I think you guys do such a great job of bringing that out of the guests you have and just the way you talk about the game. And that's honestly what we tried to do with this show. So, but yeah, I'm honestly a real fan, and I'm scared to death of what the love of your life is saying about me in the chat right now. I've gained 15 pounds eating, fuzzy peaches throughout Canada over the last year. And of course I've been up all night the last few nights, grinding about some ideas about this jersey reveal. So really, appreciate what you guys do. And as you said, we probably couldn't have made the show without Pete's contribution. So thank you guys for what you're doing. And yeah, I think I was kind of in a unique spot to be able to work on this show and make it, because I'd worked on HBO's 24/7, the quest for the Stanley Cup on Showtime, and so I knew what the NHL had done in the past, and it was really my goal to flip the frame, really to be more personal about the players and tell their stories and get people hooked to what goes on in their day-to-day lives. So you build that connection, you build that real kind of care of no matter where these guys go in their career, you'll always be a fan of them. You'll always care about what happens to them on and off the ice. And that was really my goal with this. And I have to say, to the NHL's credit, to the Amazon's credit, they gave us a ton of latitude to be able to tell those stories.
Yeah, I'm curious because you called me and you pitched me the idea, and you were like, here's the guys that we'd like to have. And then we met at All-Star Weekend. You're like, I'm sitting down with a bunch of these guys. Yeah. And I was like, there's no way it's going to be as awesome as it sounds. And there's no way they're going to get all these fucking guys who are going to sign up for this. You did. Yeah. So I'm very curious as to what the interview process was like at All-Star Weekend, and kind of what you gleaned from that initial sit down with those guys.
As you know, the personalities in this league are so good right now, and my Box to Box, the production company we did this with is done Drive to Survive. I did Full Swing with them. I did the first season of Full Swing, and so they are British, not hockey fans, and so I basically sat down a couple weeks before All-Star, put together that wish list that I shared with you over the phone of here's who I'd love to get. Here's who I think are the most interesting, stories in hockey right now. I'd say of those 20 guys, 12 of them were at All-Star. So it was just such a target rich environment to sit down with a bunch of guys. And the first 2 guys who rolled in, the NHLPA set up a bunch of meetings for us. The first 2 guys to roll in were Willie Nylander and David Pastrnak. And it was immediately like, okay, we got a show here. And these guys, just the personality oozes out of them. And it was, again, to the NHL's credit, we said, hey, these are the stories we think are most interesting. And they really let us run with it, and they supported us the whole way. And then Jeremy Swayman comes in and sits down. Leon Draisaitl comes in and sits down. Connor McDavid sits down. It's like, like, for my, Paul Martin, the other executive producer who was there with me, is like, wow, the personalities in the NHL are really diverse, especially like the Pasta Willie thing of like, you've got the guy who's destined from day one to be an NHL superstar. His dad played in the league. He looks like a Norse god. And then you've got Pasta, who had a little bit more of a hard scrabble upbringing and lost his dad at 15, was on his own, really had to become a man so much earlier than he thought he was going to. And their friendship. And honestly, I think of myself as a pretty big hockey fan. I had no idea that they were best friends since they were 15. And those types of stories, you've got to get lucky with these shows. And we tripped into some really good luck, sitting down with the Kachucks and McDavid and Draisaitl on basically day one, and following them all the way.
Yeah, the fun thing with Pasternak was when he was drafted, he was hurt his draft year, but it was like, so he was like on the team with Nylander. So already in draft years, you're like, that's not necessarily a good sign. Did Nylander just make him look really good? Right. And also he was hurt. And also at the time, the Bruins had just let Jarome Iginla walk. It was like, and also he needs to make the team right now. This sounds really stupid. And he ends up being this absolutely incredible player. You guys did a really good job of just showing all that, because I don't know how many people did know about like the Sweden stuff with Pasternak and definitely the family stuff with Pasternak. Early in his career, you'd be like, hey, how was your summer? What'd you do? And he'd just be like, I saw my mom. And that's like the best thing that he could do because he's such a family guy. And then obviously you show the hardships that his family has experienced in recent years too, without making it trauma porn, like very tastefully done. Great job there. On another Bruins note, how prescient do you feel this all was that right now the greatest contract standoff in recent NHL history is going on, and a lot of last season and a lot of the Swayman stuff that you documented with him last season was about like, hey, so what's this contract going to look like? They were kind of assholes to you last year. And now fans who are wondering why Swayman hasn't signed, what's going on, will be able to watch that and be like, I know.
Yeah. No, I think I think you watch the show and you understand how much it was on his mind, but and how it kind of poured out of him. First time we sat down with him, he was, willing to share. And as you guys know, like, it is so hard to get athletes to open up but Jeremy Swayman is, one of the most open and honest and forthright athletes I've ever worked with. And I think he took this as an opportunity to show people his personality. I don't think that was a mistake. And I think, yes, prescient, lucky. I think it all kind of enters into it. Not only that this contract thing has come up, but then he goes and turns into an absolute Superman come playoff time, and not only that, but Willie and Pasta come together in the first round of the playoffs. And it's like, and then Willie, the whole where's Willie, situation is unfolding. It's all the hockey world is talking about is basically like, wow, Jeremy Swayman just became the best goalie in the league, and Willie Nylander is MIA. We have no idea where he is. And I was sitting literally in my basement office here thinking, like, we're inside both of the most interesting stories in hockey right now. Kind of dumb luck brought us there, but we'll take it.
It's just a shame that nothing interesting ended up happening with the other guys the rest of the postseason. That's what I was going to
say. Like, you got lucky in so many different ways, and it was like such a test
Kachuk
of my own self-control, knowing that you guys had cameras in these situations, and being like, I want to be like, I can't fucking wait to see this play out on Amazon. So, like, you got extremely lucky, but I do want to ask, like, when the Stanley Cup Final, the stage was set, and then you get to the Game 7, we saw you before Game 7.
Yeah,
there are two extremely interesting outcomes from a storytelling standpoint. Were you pulling for one over another?
Oh, man.
I know the answer. I know the answer, but go ahead.
Yeah, from a storytelling standpoint, I think this outcome is more interesting because we have more story to tell. I think the Panthers winning, I think, is triumphant.
Whoa, spoiler alert. Jeez.
It's not out. We're taping this
You're
before
making
it's
a show for people who don't know hockey, too.
Guys, You have to cut
God.
that. Yeah, you have to cut that. I'm sorry.
Well, now we know what the love of your life is going to say.
Seriously. But like, honestly, day of, because that comeback had already, been such an amazing, just Connor put the team on his back, and it was like, wow, for him to pull this off, it would be so, and to see him celebrate in that moment, I think would have been an amazing story and an amazing episode. But I think the way it played out, and also you can't really count on access in a loss. They were, to their credit, let us stay in that locker room for 10 minutes, like witnessing, some of the most heartbreaking, defeat, footage you've ever seen. So I think that's something that I think you talk about a lot when you talk about sports. Like, these guys love each other. They care so much. These moments of, thrill of victory, agony of defeat. But, for me, this was showing it at a level that I'm really proud of, and maybe really hasn't been seen before. So I think day of, I wanted the Oilers to win, if I'm given truth serum, but the show we were able to put together in the wake of the Panthers win, I think is probably a better show.
Yeah, it's the most kind of life way for that story to end is the incredible thing happened and you learned that anything is possible and you didn't get what you want. Like, it not just in like a dark way or whatever, but like that's what makes sports so amazing. And you saw it in Game 5. Matthew Tkachuk makes this incredible play that immediately doesn't fucking matter. And like the sports gods and whatever gods there are in the world don't care that he just made this incredible play, which is the best play he's ever going to make in his life. But it comes in a loss and it doesn't matter. So I obviously was rooting very heavily for the Oilers, but I do think it is a great story. Pete knows one of my favorite things in the world is when Glenn Close is nominated for an Academy Award, because she's not going to fucking win. And everyone's going to make such a big deal about how it's her time. Not necessarily. What if somebody else does a better job? So that's why we watch all these things. That's why we love all these things. And you noted the 10 minutes of access that you were granted after the game. I cried at the open of episode 5. And I know that so many people who aren't Oilers fans are going to cry at the opening scene of that, because it's more than sports. It's just human. And when you see that kind of heartbreak, and it's as, I guess, like still and quiet and not dramatic, like that's what got me anyway. And I think it's going to get a lot of people.
Also, I do want to mention that was the first footage I've seen of this entire fucking thing, because you sent me the episode. That was the first episode that I got to see. And that was the first thing of anything that I got to see. I was like, holy fuck. Like 4 minutes in, I was like, what? Are you kidding me? So like, yeah, I would recommend that if somebody is starting, like, start with episode 5.
Really?
Because it'll like blow your dick off immediately.
I won't lie. I went 1, 3, 5, 6, 4. Just a cool way. That sounds like a Taylor Swift chord progression, but yeah, minus the 3. She only uses 1 minor chord per song. But a thing I liked, or a thing that kind of struck me initially about the show, I watched episode 1 and Pete was like, what'd you think? And I was like, great. I guess when I went into it, I didn't consider that how much about the players it is. And like when William Nylander is flipping out on his teammates, it's about William Nylander flipping out on his teammates. It's not about Mitch Marner. It's not about whatever. It's about like, what is this guy feeling in the moment that's leading him to be like, fuck guys, like we always do this. So you get this super concentrated dose of what this player's emotion is. So as I watched more episodes, I loved how it was really almost like the movie Air. Like it's through this lens, and it's a heavy dose of this lens. Yet when it got to the Edmonton Oilers, you couldn't fucking tell the story without Cody Ceci. And I love that so much. It made me so happy.
Every time you brought up Cody Ceci over the last few months, I was like, "Oh, DJ's gonna love this moment." And it's like, the way he walks into that locker room, it's like it says everything in 2 seconds. The way him and Leon kind of, relate to each other, and yeah, he's a beaut, and
Because
I think we'll be,
they're truly sitting around noting how uninteresting they are, and they're like, I don't even know what they're going to use in this. Whatever. And they kind of have light smiles. And then you just see them light up. And it's like, what man holding a giant check for $10 million is standing on the other side? And it's literally Cody Ceci walked in the room.
Beautiful head of hair coming through the doorway. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Hey, thanks for watching the channel.
We appreciate everybody who checks out our stuff, but 80% of our viewers are not actually subscribed to this page, so if you could smash that subscribe button, it would go a very long way for us.
The more subscriptions we have, the more visibility we get from YouTube, which allows us to do more.
So press that button. Thank you.
Off of DJ's point, like, how challenging was it to turn off like the other 90% of your hockey brain when like looking at these storylines and being like, okay, we have to focus through the 10% lens of the player that we're following and just tell it from that kind of angle?
I mean, that is the trick with these shows. There are a million different ways you can go. And yes, I think like sometimes it's good to have someone who is kind of a visitor in the world to be able to bounce ideas off of, to say, okay, actually, I understand maybe a diehard hockey fan would care about this, but the average person who's going to be tuning in might not care about the way they're forechecking or the way they're working at D behind the net. So like maybe let's stick to the personal. But honestly, from day one, that is my mantra all day, every day. It's like, what can we do with our access and with our cameras and with our storytelling chops that no one else can, and that what's the story that no one else is telling that we can tell. So I think it's in a way it's difficult, but in a way it's simplifying, and like you said, there's 90% of something else you could be focusing on, but if you just stick to that 10% that is intimate, personal, and ultimately relatable to the average human being, I think that's where you find the good stories, because very few people know what it's like to play in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final, but a lot of people know what it's like to not be, crushing it at work, or to have a baby on the way, or to, some of the things that these guys are actually dealing with on a day-to-day basis on a personal level. So I think if the trick is, and what I tried to kind of really drill into the teams we had on this is, we need to be telling one story, be very strident about it, and really not get seduced by a lot of the noise that's out there.
I gotta ask, knowing how much footage you have, what's the best behind the scenes thing that didn't make the cut?
Yeah, good question. I'd say, so Philip Forsberg and his wife Erin were unbelievable. Gave us like some of the best access of all time, and their personality. It's tough with these episodes. We want them to be between like 38 and 45 minutes. It's hard to keep a ton of off ice stuff on there when the games kind of matter so much. But they went pool table shopping when she was 9 months pregnant, and this is maybe not the best thing, but it's what immediately pops to mind. And Philip Forsberg desperately wanted a white pool table, and she's covered, like 9 months pregnant, covered in a spray tan at the moment. She's like, I'm the spray tan queen. We can't get a white pool table. So I would say that's the moment that like really sticks out to me of like, and hopefully there's more like meat on the bone. Like, as you say, there are things that needed to hit the cutting room floor for time or whatever it might be. And that just means if we get the chance to do this thing again, we can go back and tell some deeper stories.
Yeah, I mean, I watched that and I'm like, there are, to what you said in the beginning, like there are so many interesting personalities. And as I watch that, I'm like, I'm watching this with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, who are like two of the best, let's say 4 players in the world. If this were and Matthew Tkachuk as well, like who's not top 5, but you know what I'm saying. Like if this were about Paul Maurice and Stu Skinner, it would be its own sort of like crazy fascinating. And you did do, maybe I undersold how much you were able to sprinkle in the kind of secondary and tertiary characters, because Paul Maurice, who quite frankly I'd gotten a little sick of as the actual postseason went on, because I was like, this is a good coach. I need to see things of him coaching and not just making jokes all the time. And the moment in episode 3 where they're up 3-1 and he's yelling at them about, you're up 3-1 and suddenly you want to make plays. Fuck making plays. Wear down their defense. Let's take this to 7. Their defense will be dead. They'll have nothing left. Wear down their defense.
Yeah.
I don't know if you followed the offseason. What the Bruins do as soon as they get eliminated, they go out and they sign Nikita Zadorov. So, like, if you're a big hockey fan and you watch this stuff, you're like, damn, some of this stuff really, like, these guys aren't just bozos. They know what the fuck they're talking about. And when they see a weakness and they attack a weakness, this is, like, really, really thought out, which made the scene in the Panthers room in the Stanley Cup Final even cooler. The whiteboard with all the strategies and everything has just been wiped off, and they just all signed it and said and wrote "Brothers for Life." Because I'm like, there's so much strategy that goes into this. There's so much thought that goes into this. So it definitely scratched every itch that I could have as a hockey fan. Great job.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate you saying that. And Paul, I think we could have done an entire show about Paul Maurice. We have enough footage to do that. And, but I think that's one of those things that in the moment, my field producer, Daniel Litke, would tell me every day, like, hey, Paul did this, Paul did that. I'm like, well, our story is the Tkachuk family lineage. And, we need to stay focused on that. And it just kind of dilutes it. But I think, as you say, we're able to sprinkle it in so that it doesn't get too claustrophobic. You see how other people are kind of affecting our main character. And as you say, there's a little something for everyone, as far as his strategy, as far as their kind of anaconda chokehold that they put on teams, come playoff time. So, I hope everyone can kind of get a little something out of it.
Didn't even mention the best secondary or tertiary character, though, which is the great Ken Swayman. And I don't know how you were able to keep yourself honest and not put like 45 minutes of that guy, because he is just the sweetest man in the world.
Absolute star.
Oh my God, I know. And like the stories we got from them, they take these hikes. They go to Alaska and they spend like 4 days in the wilderness, and they've been doing it since Jeremy was like 7 years old. Like definitely, I've got young kids and really taking some dad notes from Ken Swayman. And like, I'm scared. My oldest is 8. I'm scared that he's going to, not want to hang out with me next week. Jeremy is like actively trying to hang out with Ken. Jeremy moved apartments. Ken was there to help him move. It's like, if my son is calling me to hang and to help him move apartments at 26, you did something right. So love Ken Sway.
I think we're all rooting for a season 2. It sounds like you're rooting for a season 2. Who would be like your want to get this guy so bad for season 2 guy?
I think there's a lot of meat left on the bone with Leon. To me, I think like his offseason has been so interesting. Now that the contract is behind him, what does that do from a pressure standpoint? What is on his shoulders now? And I think he's just such a charismatic guy. And I think he has seen the process firsthand. And maybe the focus was a little bit more on Connor this time around. And I think we've had some conversations with him where he seems into it to dive in a little bit deeper. And I think to me the things that jump off the page as far as, just NHL notes, news and notes over the summer are guys like Steven Stamkos and Jonathan Marchessault going to Nashville, and like 2 guys who are so dyed in the wool with those franchises, cup winning franchises, now in a new place. And going on that FU tour, I think that, and Nashville is just, we worked with them this year. They were amazing to work with. Our producer, Stephanie Ridenauer, who was there, just really ingratiated herself and made great relationships there. So I think I think those stories, and then there are guys, as you'll see, we spent a ton of time with Quinn Hughes and Matthew Tkachuk. This season, if we're able to go deeper with Jack Hughes and with Brady Tkachuk, I feel like those guys could be really interesting. So those are just some of the early brainstorming. Nothing has been kind of as you say greenlit yet, but we'll be ready if and when it happens.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say we can't let you get out of here unless we ask you about the Buffalo Sabres. You're a Buffalo guy. They are the champions of the 2024-25 preseason. So
fly forever. Yeah, looking forward to banner night for the champions of the preseason. And yeah, it is. Thank you for bringing that up. I am contractually obligated to mention that I'm from Buffalo in every conversation. So thank you for that. And yeah, vibes are high. I think I was maybe hoping that there be a bigger splash at the beginning of free agency, but I do think relying on our young studs to take that next step is a good a good game plan to go into the season. And I do think Lindy will. It's that classic thing of like the player coach to the taskmaster switch. You get a little bump, holding the players a little bit more accountable. And yeah, I think UPL and Devin Levi are going to be a unbelievable tandem. And yeah, well, how's Sean feeling? Is Sean in the?
We got him there.
I feel great, mainly based off vibes, not necessarily any. I was very skeptical of the Lindy hire when it happened, but the vibes on this team seem too high for me not to get excited.
Amen.
I do have to push back.
Why not us?
Why not?
Well, famously, for a lot of reasons, but
I have to push back on the you wanted a bigger splash in the offseason. Do Sabres fans not know puck? Ryan McLeod is fast. I don't know how many times I've had to tell people Ryan McLeod is fast.
Not to mention, got a new scoreboard.
That thing is 4 pages tall.
I didn't consider that. You guys bring up really good points. So
we also got a new mural.
And
outside.
a roof.
I know.
What's a mural?
Yeah.
Oh, the walkway thing?
Yeah.
The
They're
rumors
making a
were
big
true.
deal about that.
The rumors were true. There was a mural.
There was. And then they got a
There
new
were
one.
about 45 guys pictured on that mural. So they really, Jack Eichel, not conspicuously absent, but I believe Maxim
Afinogenov. That's the one I was going to say. That, right there. I love Maxim
You
Afinogenov.
motherfuckers from Buffalo all just think the same. You have the one brain.
Is
Shared
Vanek
brain.
on there? Is Vanek on there?
Of course. You kidding me?
Legend.
The original slap shot, penalty shot.
You know what my favorite Sabres team was? 2013, 14.
The one that started the drought.
What's that?
The one that started the drought.
Sounds about right. But that was the year that they were like, we have had enough. Watch out. We're getting Steve Ott. And the Bruins were like, okay. And they were like, we said Steve. You hear us? We're getting Steve Ott. We're not taking any of your shit anymore. And the Bruins were like,
Gave him the C.
bet you are.
He wore the C. He was
What's
our
that?
captain. He was our captain.
That's
Did they trade
tough
for him
scene.
and name him captain?
I want to say he started the year as captain. That was the famous picture of the two-tone jerseys. The
The
yellow
worst
in
jerseys in the
front.
history of the
Horrible.
NHL.
Horrible.
I do have an Ott signed puck in my apartment right now.
Jesus Christ.
You
This is so
sweet,
sad.
sweet boys.
He's-
Last thing I did need to note, just for bookkeeping purposes, because we're a Hockey is for Everyone podcast, we are recording this on the first day of Rosh Hashanah. Great job getting a ton of Jewish players for this. You got Quinn Hughes. You got Jeremy Swayman. You got, there's one more that I'm forgetting.
Zach
Ken
Hyman.
Swayman.
Ken Swayman. Zach Hyman.
Zach Hyman.
Yes.
4 famous Jewish stars. Excellent job. We absolutely love to see it. Did need to run through our list of things that you missed, though, for this. It is one thing long, and it is that you made no mention of the fact that an Evan was going to win the Stanley Cup for the first time. That was kind of the main story of that series, and you it must have been a timing thing that you left that out.
It was there's some. It's called killing your darlings. Sometimes the best stuff has to hit the cutting room floor, and the Evan storyline. It was a whole. We had an Evan episode, but unfortunately,
It didn't have Evan Bouchard or Evan Rodriguez. It was just about the history of
It was
Evans.
just about Evanescence.
Yes. Ooh, that would really bring the thing to life. If you know what I'm saying.
yeah.
Make
What'd
it
you guys
immortal.
think? I mean, what'd you think of the music? I guess.
Yes, I did write down. You used in episode, I believe 5. You used "Wild" by Spoon. That album,
baby.
"Lucifer on the Sofa," is one of my favorite recent albums. Are you a Spoon
Nice.
guy? Is that your call or
Spoon
what?
guy. Yeah. It was. I think. Again, Amazon and the NHL gave us really good latitude to basically choose the music we wanted, and I was happy we got a couple of cool tracks in there.
I'm going to drop Britt Daniel a note and be like, "Hey, I'm sure you know about this because you had to sign off on it, but saw your song in the Amazon show, and it's amazing. You a hockey guy? Get that ball rolling. Maybe have Britt on the show.
That'd be great. I'm tuning
More
in.
Carly Rae Jepsen. That's my my input, please.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
Canada's own.
Cut to the Feeling would. Oh, I did like how much Shania Twain was in it.
That's true.
Because that really was. I was at the Shania Twain performance before Game 4, and truly there was a sense of like, just because of how stupid this all is, there is no way the Oilers are losing today. Like, these vibes are just too good. And are they is it a little saccharine? Yeah. But shut up. They're going to win today. And then they blew doors.
Yeah. That was what a night. What a night. Yeah, that win doesn't happen without Shania, in my opinion.
That's right.
So. Amazing. And this show obviously famously does not happen without you, because you did it and you made a great, you really, really, really made a great docuseries here. And we look forward to hopefully seeing a season 2. But if not, we're going to be chatting with you anyway about hockey, because we love the Sabres this year. We love the Sabres this year.
From your lips to God's ears. Sounds good. Hopefully, I would love to feature them in the show this year. Let's break that drought.
JJ? UPL? Possible. Ryan McLeod's fast. Honestly, my vote would be Lindy. I was team Lindy when he was coaching.
So
you can check the tape. You know this if you listen to the show. The Sabres need Lindy when Lindy was coaching the Devils. Right. Like that was always happening. Some of us chose to act like there was a chance it wasn't happening. It was a little silly on some of our parts. It was always happening.
Yeah.
They're taking this thing to the moon.
Hell yeah. I love it. Well, yeah, all 6 of the episodes drop on Friday. I think I should probably mention on Prime. So binge them all on Friday. And hockey fans, hockey Twitter is famously measured and respectful. So I'm looking forward to all the feedback.
I mean, none of the players endorsed a president in it, so it's not going to be a smooth sailing. All right, bye, Daniel.
Thanks, guys.
We all silly like the mayor.